I say, so are you recording this so that way we can get the recording later? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm already recording it.
All right, perfect. It's always edit. You can always edit. So, all right. So, hey, how do you say your name? Gleb?
Gleb, yeah. But you can call me Glenn because I know that
Glenn. It's
for
easier.
people who live in the United States to pronounce Gleb in one altogether,
Yeah.
it's not very easy. So either they try to call me Zeb or to call me Glenn. So I prefer Glenn actually.
Right. Very good. So you've seen my videos too. You know what I do as well.
Yeah, I see that you do plenty of interviews
Yeah.
with people mostly about EFT.
Yeah. Kinda. Yeah. And a lot of people interview me, and of
Hmm.
course we talk about neuroplasticity.
Hmm.
So I just say, hey, I'll just start. I'll say, hey, Gleb, nice, Gleb or Glenn, nice meeting you.
Hmm.
And we both thought we were being interviewed by the other person. So we'll interview each other. So we'll just kind of see what we're doing and how things are working and what kind of work we do, and maybe the foundation of our healing modalities that we use. So
Yeah.
maybe Glenn, won't you give us a little bit of overview of who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, and maybe share a little bit what it is exactly you're doing.
Okay. Um, Actually, I'm investment banker.
Hmm.
I had my own investment banking boutique in Moscow. Very good business, plenty of money, plenty of deals. Everything was growing. And about 2003, I realized that I have all the things all the toys that are allowed to big boys. I mean, fancy cars, watches, tailor-made suits, business class, whatsoever.
Hmm.
However, I also realized that it didn't bring me happiness. So here we start my trip for happiness, and I start to travel around the world, mostly in Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, India, and also I start to practice. I start to practice mostly Osho techniques, like Osho techniques like dynamic meditation, vipassana, kundalini meditation. And since I was very good in sports, um, it happens very fast. So I mean that the development is growing happens fast, and I realized that when you open all the chakras, I realized that the basic problem was not with opening the chakras. I mean, with not with this all this spiritual development, but the problem was that our subconscious mind is always a challenge us because all our past traumas, all our fears, all our pains, um, stereotypes, concepts are stored in the deep layers of subconsciousness, and we need to remove it. And I start again to try and find different techniques to remove it as fast as possible. I started with basic tantra technique like rewatching of particular situation when you are going down, you are watching at the situation, you give forgiveness to everyone who was in this situation, and after that it's coming back. But it's very time consuming, it's very energy consuming. So I start to find something else. And I realize that our subconscious mind is basically our servant. So it its function on instructions that we give to him. For example, we can say, "I want to eliminate this pain in 2 days," and in 2 days you realize that there is no pain anymore, no stress, no preliminary aims, outdated aims, especially that moving the focus of our consciousness in very different directions. And after that, I start to move much faster. I relocated to Bali in 2011, and most of the time actually doing just sharing my knowledge about what is the subconscious mind and what are the modern techniques, because I test different techniques like Sedona method or EFT or instructions for subconscious mind, which we call master solutions, to make our self-development as fast as possible. And right now I'm actually coaching other people and spreading my knowledge around about the power of subconscious mind and how the power of subconscious mind can help us to realize what we are doing, how we are doing, and do it in the most effective way. I mean, effective time in terms of time and in terms of energy. Briefly, this was my way. What's about you?
All right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So, my story, you mean my story, where I'm coming from and what I am, right? Well, of course, I have a kind of like most people, like you said yourself, we have our traumas, our unpleasant experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And, my mother was 14 years old. She ran away from home. She got pregnant, gave birth to me around when she was 15. My stepdad, which is my dad, who came in my life when I was 6 months old. And of course, he had a lot of emotional issues. He had angers and etc. He was the oldest of 9 kids. His mom was married to an alcoholic. So the kids were all separated, put in foster homes. And then he ends up at 17 marrying my mother. And so he brought into our life his world, which is, had a lot of, we were afraid of our dad. He was physically abusive, emotionally as well. And so I was the oldest of the 6 kids. At 14, I went to my aunt and uncle's house for the summer to do work.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized something was there I liked, which was peacefulness. You didn't have to be afraid that something bad would happen. So when I went back to Oklahoma, I said, Mom, I don't want to live here anymore. I want to move back to Louisiana. She said, you can't. I'll let you move in with your grandmother. Now, of course, my grandmother was 34 years old when I was born, always wanted to have me. And so now I move in. Well, from that point, when I moved in with her, I started having these nightmares. And my grandmother's very Christian. And, she's always at the church. So one of the things is I was going to church and I was exposed to, Christianity. And I was exposed before that, but now more so on a continual basis. I tried what they said to see if it worked. It didn't work. The stuff was still there. So my thinking is, well, maybe those guys who are teaching maybe just don't understand. So I started studying the Bible myself.
Mm-hmm.
So spirituality was a part of this. Of course, now I'm a single child at home with my grandmother and grandfather. So I had my own bedroom, my own phone. And I saw something on TV about Psychology Today, an encyclopedia set. I said, hey, Grandma, I want that. So she bought it. I started reading through it, talk about psychology and Freud and this and that. I was very fascinated with the book 15 or 16, and that was the sexuality book. Of course, I'm 15 years old. And I found that one part in the body is called erogenous zones. Those are the parts that feel really good.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I'm at a bookstore and I see erogenous zones in the bookstore. So I thought it's a paperback book. So I bought it, took it home, and I started trying to read it. And it had nothing to do with those sexual parts.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually Wayne Dyer's Your Erroneous Zones. But he was talking about how the mind works and how memories work. So then I was very fascinated about the mind because I had nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Nightmares about maybe I killed my father and the old lady on the other street.
Mm-hmm.
So it really tormented me. So I started trying to find anything that would help me. I found hypnosis at 15 years old, studying that. and then also going to church at the same time. And the church people said hypnosis is the devil's work. So it scared me. So I still had the desire to heal myself or work through the demons in my head. Fast forward, I got married at 22. Before we got married, my wife to be said, I was sexually abused by my father. And of course, I couldn't deal with that. I didn't know how to deal with my own emotional stuff. So we ended up getting married, and 18 years later in the marriage, a lot of emotional stuff coming out of her. And I thought, well, we need therapy. We need to find someone to help you. And of course, we found a therapist. Wasn't a typical therapist. He used guided imagery. And it was working. From that point, I started studying everything about sexual trauma, physical trauma. And I also discovered a book called Mind Works, which basically it's an NLP book, neuro-linguistic programming, which started introducing to me the idea of memories and how the brain encode memories and how we produce from memories. And there's a guy locally in Oklahoma, his name Don Blackerby. He's deceased now, but he had an NLP training, and I called him up, and it's $2,500. Well, he could have said $25 million. Both were out of my reach. But I knew this is something I could really help me. So I said, well, do you have a tape, VHS tape? That's back then. And he sent me one. I watched it, and I said, hey, do you have maybe I can talk to one of your students. So I talked to the student. I talked to her about what's going on in her life, the sexual trauma, etc. She said, well, you should check out emofree.com, which is an EFT model. That was in 99. So in 99, I bought the EFT course and the master training course. Now, the EFT was the fastest changing process I found. But it had a belief system that I did not agree with because of my studies with NLP. And basically, the cause of all your problems is blocked energy. Something inside you isn't working correctly. And I don't believe that. I believe that our unconscious, subconscious, limbic operating system is a survival system. That means when you're born, your brain will encode the world. And it will hold on to those parts that may be unpleasant, but it will use those to help keep you safe, but also keep you in the loop of the misery.
All right.
So even though EFT was a fast-changing system, like I said, its belief system was askewed. I was determined to use it. My first person I worked on, her name was Amanda, had a fear of heights. So I invited her over to the house, and 30 minutes later with the EFT, she's climbing at the top of the ladder, looking down at me and said, I can't believe I'm up here, and I'm not even scared. So that was the beginning. Now I had a target, and that was to help my wife. She had a lot of sexual trauma, and my family and myself. So from that point on, I started learning how the mind works, and why does tapping even work? Why does meditation even work? Why does, beating a couch and primal screaming or meditation or vegetation, or why do these work, and how to create faster changes in the mind where you can thoroughly get a complete neurological shift and change. So that's my story. So for me now, from biblical studies, hypnosis, EFT, and then I started taking so many different courses: Psych-K, Be Set Free Fast, Touch and Breathe, Tapas acupressure technique, Roger Callahan's thought field therapy, or Callahan technique. So I did a lot of search, a lot of study. I ran across a book called Monsters and Magical Sticks. There's no such thing as hypnosis. And it gave me the idea and the premise that problems are just merely hypnotic trances. Post-traumatic stress is a post-traumatic hypnotic state. Knowing how to update those memories and changing those memories neurologically is the key of setting people free. A lot of people will have a problem and they will escape to drugs, sex, alcohol, meditation, prayer, bagging, shopping, cleaning, but it doesn't really change it. And so
Exactly.
with the system I created, at first I created faster EFT,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically definitely not EFT, but it's faster
Mm-hmm.
because it has tapping involved. And then I changed it later to eutaptics, which is a processing on how to change you internally and
Mm-hmm.
having skills, tactics to update the memories. So now it's more of a neurological memory reconsolidation system. That means you don't have to have a belief in it. You can quickly change some big memories, very short time, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, or maybe hours, depending on how many neurological connections are built from that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then of course I travel around the world, except when COVID happened. I think 30 countries, thousands and thousands of people, and of course I have 1,500 plus videos on YouTube, 15 million video views. Uh, Featured speaker in the movie called Emotion, which is basically, you know, I teach about how the mind works as well. So this is where I am today. Of course, now with the COVID and craziness, we do lots of live webinars, and we're doing some live seminars here locally in Oklahoma as well. So that's where I am today.
Yeah. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Um, you know that our memory, it's basically a neural network,
Mm-hmm.
and we have something like mm, negative charge memories and positively charged memories. Some of them neutral, most of them neutral.
Mm-hmm.
When this, when our memories, for example, are negatively charged, for example, charged with pain, how do you see
Mm-hmm.
this neural network and how this is connected to the glands that create this, for example, additional pressure of adrenaline or noradrenaline or other neuromédiators. How do you see this?
Well, again, one of the most important things when you approach problems, memories, or experiences, it's your presumed truth that distorts reality or factually. So, the presumed truth that I operate one, first of all, there are no negative and positive memories. They're just memories and experiences. To the limbic brain, which is a survival brain, pain has a positive intention. Pain is designed to keep you safe. Negative memories, seemingly, now we when we say negative, it's our consciousness saying that's bad, that's good. So to the brain, though, negative memories aren't negative. Negative memories are actually survival memories, trying to keep you alive and safe. Now, consciously, we don't like that. Neurologically, there's no difference between a happy memory and a negative memory. Both are good. To our world, we don't like the results we're getting, but to the limbic operating system, this is how the world is encoded. So the key to changing and adjusting memories to conscious wantingness, like I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be angry and pissed off. I don't want this. And therefore, we will judge our bad memories as bad, but really they're just memories. Because the unconscious, as we call the unconscious, an intelligent idiot. It knows how to create panic attacks. It knows how to create good wealth or good relationships or good emotions. Neither are bad to the unconscious. It's just what the world has been encoded and what they've experienced and create. So the difference between what we would call conscious bad and good to the brain, they're all good and it's all survival. So in order for me and you consciously to want something better, we have to understand the brain gives us pain to keep us safe, keep us in alignment with what the world we were exposed to. And if we don't like our negative, seemingly negative experiences, all you have to do is go update and change the memory that created those negative, seemingly experiences.
Um, I understand your point, and you're absolutely correct in this. However, our neural system has been developed for the body of during hundreds thousand years when first primary people have appeared. Of course, when we, for example, with you will go to hunt a tiger or a bear, we need such kind of system because our mind will create enough adrenaline to kill the tiger.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, as far as I know, there are not so many tigers in Oklahoma.
Hmm. But
Basically,
we do, yeah, but we do. Everybody, and see, you got to understand too. And I agree with the point. We don't have tigers in our world. But again, you don't have to have a tiger in your world to have trauma. You could have an abusive brother who is jealous of you, who didn't want you in the world because you stole the limelight. Therefore, he tries to beat you up. He punches you. He tries to kill you. He tries to hurt you. He steals your food and blames you and all this stuff. So that is our tiger today, the emotional conditions and conditionings.
right. I mean that the modern man doesn't need such a system. I mean, because most of our life, I mean, we spend our life in gadgets. We spend our life mostly in computers rather
Hmm.
than in the real world. So basically, we are attached to gadgets and computers, but not to tigers anymore. We don't need to,
Right,
to harvest crops in the
right.
field. Yeah.
But you do, but
Hmm.
we use our computers to emotionally connect to people. We use our computers to watch our football games, to get excited. We watch, some people watch computers to see porn, to be aroused. They communicate with their friends. They post something on Facebook or YouTube, and it makes them feel good that people like this. So now we're not gathering berries, and we're not hunting rabbits, we're not hunting bears, but now we our survival system is for us to feel good or stay in alignment. Some people will watch, all the craziness with COVID and get very angry just by looking at a YouTube channel or watching a video. So now our stimuli in our world has shifted to no longer hunting in the woods, but now we are stimulated, emotionally grow. And I will tell you this: the computer has changed my life. The computer is where I found videos and byproducts to learn how to change the mind. It's been hours studying about neuroplasticity and stuff. So, yeah, now we have gadgets in our hand, but there's no difference than having an axe or a hammer or an arrow or a spear. It is still mentally and emotionally affecting us in some form or way.
Absolutely. But the
But
difference is huge. You know, when you if you have no stress, when you are hunting in the woods, uh, you probably will not get you will get nothing. Yeah, because you need to get some meat out of the wood.
mhm, mhm,
Right now, you just need to press couple of buttons in your mobile phone and get the delivery.
yeah,
So the emotional charge becomes very different. I mean, it's not strong like it was, even 10 years ago. I'm not talking about when people goes to the war, and everything is depends on how precisely the nervous system will react to the outside signals. And on other side, since negative emotional has changed, I mean the structure of a negative emotional has changed. Also, the structure of positive emotional has changed. So, do you agree that our structure of emotions has changed, and also impact of the emotional has changed.
So, so when you say structure, like external, internal stimulus,
No, no, no. I
or
mean
internal,
structure in
external
terms of,
reaction?
for example, fear of death was at war. It's about 99.99%, right? Because otherwise you will not survive. However, and now, for example, the fear of death becomes less than, say, 10 to 15%. On the other side, the fear of running out of money or fear of losing money is about 90%.
Yeah.
So,
And there may not be that much difference between that and the fear of being eaten by a tiger. I mean, we have a tendency, we fantasize and we think that we kind of know what the Neanderthal man, the early man was going through. We don't know exactly. Were they always on the edge as if some tigers always have to get them? Most likely not. I mean, granted, there are tigers. There are maybe even dinosaurs back when, depends on how far you go. But our survival system over the years are pretty much the same. The biggest difference is the different types of stimuli that affect us today. Venture to say they still had their internal conflicts inside the family. They do probably had an uncle or a fellow, a tribe from another tribe may want to kill them too. In today's world, what do we have? We got all kinds of famines and wars happening, fear that COVID's going to kill you, that you're being guilted because you're the one that could cause grandma's death because you don't wear a mask. So we still have a lot of uh, stimuli that could create anxiety. Because I work with a lot of people who
mhm.
are severely ill, like fibromyalgia, me, Hashimoto's disease, lupus. And when I step inside of their mind, what causes these things are, again, internal processing of information. They do have traumas and abuses and high anxiety from their world, even though there were no tigers involved. There's just an abusive dad or mom or uncle or kid at the school, who knows. But our innate operating system is pretty much the same, and we're not that complex internally. If you don't know what you're dealing with, it's very complex. But when you understand mental mechanics, then you can also understand that this great mind of ours is a very powerful creative force. Powerful.
Okay. And let's now switch to subconscious mind.
All right.
For example, in BSFF or Visit Free Fast technique,
Mm-hmm.
you are asking special type of questions to your subconscious mind. However, the question is, do how people in EFT or BSFF are looking to remove this task of asking the questions to subconscious mind, or for example,
Mm-hmm.
give comments to subconscious mind. What is the relationship between people who practice EFT or BSFF and subconscious mind? How do you see the subconscious mind now?
The unconscious. Now, the word subconscious, unconscious, and limbic operating system are all the same. They're one word. They have the same process.
Hmm.
So these are designed for survival. The thing is it's our unconscious, subconscious, limbic operating system is a survival system. So when you have a stimulus, uh, and your mother, like you say, your wife or your husband or the guy at the grocery store, and they have an impact on you, negative and or positive, this unconscious, subconscious, limbic operation will grab that information. It'll organize it with what it already has inside, and then it'll produce something. So if we sit and we lay in bed and we remember all bad experiences, or if we continuously feel negative feelings in our body, or we have bad internal dialogue, bad languaging inside of ourselves. So one, we're feeding the unconscious, subconscious, limbic operating system to do something. Now, again, when you use Be Set Free Fast or any other operating system, first of all, they're getting conscious approval and then hopefully unconscious approval to make an adjustment. The key to making complete adjustments in the unconscious is a thorough updating of memory. Now, memory is 5 types of memory. We got a visual memory, we got auditory memory, we got kinesthetic memory, and we got taste and smell, gustatory, etc. So, knowing how to completely update memory, which is unconscious, subconscious programming, then you create a complete internal, external shift. But again, the problem is that, most people think, I have a memory of my dog and my memory of my dog's here. But the truth is the memory of the dog is not here. It's everywhere. And it's also linked to many other memories. Could be linked to a hamster memory or a pet rabbit memory, depending on how your limbic operating system, subconscious, organizes it. So tapping, of course, tapping's model of thinking is that we're unblocking energy. Well, if you know anything about energy, you can't block energy. Energy is continual movement. And again, when we talk about negative energy or positive energy, it takes the same organs, the same body parts to create both. It's the same thing. And to the unconscious, neither one are bad. It's all good. But to us consciously, we just don't like feeling bad. So we want to avoid feeling bad. So we are going to avoid people who make us feel bad. But it doesn't change our bad translator within ourselves. That means the unconscious limbic operating system has a reason why we respond badly. So the unconscious, subconscious is a learning system. It's a production system. It's a law of attraction system. But again, the unconscious is an intelligent idiot. That means if you sit in front of TV and you watch all the dangers of sharks or all the dangers of spiders and you see all the horrible, scary stuff about spiders, you consciously are feeding the unconscious to be afraid of spiders. So it's a servant, like you said. It is a servant. And the problem is that we have not consciously been able to handle what happened to us in our world growing up. So then it just goes in, it's spread across the cortices, and the unconscious is going to produce panic attacks, especially when you don't want one at the wrong time. So it's a great manifester.
Yeah, that's true. What is the most amazing fact for you about subconsciouses?
I think the most amazing fact that I have discovered that it is very adjustable. It's very adjustable. It's very flexible. And if you know how to use it, you can have anything in your life. You can have a life you never thought possible. Before I started this work, I presumed my life will not be good because I come from a life that wasn't good. Mm-hmm. I back in the early days when I was, in my early 30s, I didn't think I could own anything newer than 1978 because I couldn't work on it. Mm-hmm. I had calluses on my hand and grease under my fingernails. I had a bunch of junk cars. But when I started improving my understanding of my mind with Anthony Robbins' work, Your Unlimited Power, and then other courses, and started studying NLP with Dr. Richard Bandler, Tad James, and so many others, and reading, I discovered that our lives, however messed up we judge it or how wonderful we judge it, is a great product of the limbic unconscious operating system. If we don't like what we currently have, we must learn how to adjust and change what we don't want.
Do you ever measure the power capacity of subconsciouses?
I don't even know how you could do that.
From my point of view, um, the architecture of computers was copied by from this consciousness subconscious system. And actually, I was started coding at the age of 14, and for me, our subconscious is like our hard drive that is stored all the information. If it's our hard drive, we can calculate how many bits of information this type of processor can process. And I found very interesting fact that, for example, our consciousness is processing about 2000 bits of information per second. But our subconscious mind is processing 4 billion bits of information per second. Given that subconsciousness is 2 million times more powerful than consciousness.
Oh yeah.
And after that, I just try to calculate why is that. It's just because, for example, our video matrix is our major consumer of our energy and our storage capacity, our processing capacity, because it needs to process so many pixels at one time. It's just incredible. So also all we hear, all we smell, all we feel on our body, I mean kinesthetic feeling, all the taste is coming into one system and into one processor. I mean all these nervous spots on our body is going into one processing system, and what we see, it's our reality. So basically subconscious mind is creating our reality. Also, subconscious is managing our body, because we don't think which type of muscle we need to use if you need to move the finger.
Exactly.
So the capacity of the system is really incredible. Also, it has storage not from our life, but also from previous lives, which is transferred by DNK as a main storage of information. This was most amazing fact that I knew about subconscious. If you agree that our subconscious is our servant, do you try to give commands to our servant?
So instructions, you mean? Give instructions to the unconscious, your brain.
Commands or instructions or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Again, we do this all the time, and we do it daily. We may say, where are my socks? What time is it? What am I going to eat? Of course, the unconscious will find that for you. But also by focusing, watching, and being exposed to beliefs, like if you say, for example, if you there was an accident, and you consciously say, well, that's very interesting. I need to learn a little bit more about accidents. And so you start spending time looking and learning about accidents. You're inadvertently giving your unconscious instructions, and you will say things and do things inside your head. So if you have a tendency to believe that there are bad things in the world, and you start looking for all the bad things in the world, you're giving your unconscious instructions. You can also, with the same mindset and the same attitude, is you will tell your unconscious, like some people, they have their unconscious, and they will, their brain will just pop in words, or it'll pop in scary pictures in their mind, or the brain will just give them information. And of course, before we had no control over it. We just said, oh shit, the world's bad. My life is bad. And we believe it. But the weird thing is we also give our unconscious information by focusing. And by focusing on good, focusing on bad, or just saying things to the unconscious. You know, you can, you know, you fantasize. And I've done this, and we all do this anyway, but it's like, you know, I had a Dodge Challenger Hellcat, or actually I had an SRT-8, which is a very fast car, you know, and then they came out with a faster one, you know. So I started looking at them online, you know, looking at videos of them online. So I chose to look at them, watch videos, and learn about them. Now, consciously, I said, I don't need another car. This one here's only got 11,000 miles on it. I don't need another one. But I kept feeding my unconscious by looking at videos and looking at the colors and looking at the motor size and how fast it was. Then I thought, well, I'll just go down and just kind of look at a real one, you know, go back and walk around it. And of course, the dealer says, hey, would you like to drive it? I said, sure. Well, unfortunately, that day I bought the damn thing. Now, did I consciously want to? Not really. But I started feeding all these reasons why I like the car. Mm-hmm. So that is telling my unconscious or feeding my unconscious information to where it's going to make me do what I need to do to stay in alignment with whatever it is I'm focusing on. And we say that we do that with negative memories. We do that with people in our life. We do that with things that we're interested in. Our unconscious is a learning machine. And it will learn bad things as well as good things by our focus, by our exposure. And it's a great operating system. But what I went to a movies with friends and my wife and friends of our friends. And the movie is called The Butterfly Effect. At one point, this scary thing jumped in front of the screen and go, oh shit. I started tapping right then. I don't want that in my head. You know, I don't want that in my head. So immediately I started taking ownership of my unconscious and said, listen, that's just fake. It's not real. But my body responded as if it was real, even though it's a screen, dots on a screen, and it's not real, but it felt real. And so the key that I teach my students or my clients is how to be in control of the unconscious, how to program it to give you what you want, and how to deprogram, update, and change the memory references. And so that's the key to owning the unconscious and letting it work for you. This guy came to see me. He's in a tournament, golf tournament, right? And so he booked an appointment with me, and he said, you know, I'm in this golf tournament and I just have this great fear I'm going to lose again. And I said, have you ever lost before? He goes, oh yeah. I says, every time, no matter what sport I do, at the beginning of the sport, I'm the best, I'm top. And then by the end of the sport, I'm the worst. And I said, well, do you have memories of it? He said, yes. When I was a sharpshooter. All right. I said, any other time. Golfing, any other time. Yes. When I was playing cards. I said, any other sports experience growing up that may have had an impact on you? He said, oh yeah, I was a baseball player in school and I was really, really good. And I was in the kitchen telling Dad about how good I was. And Dad just knocked me down. He said, boy, you're getting too big for your britches. You need to don't think so highly of yourself. From that point forward, his unconscious replicated every one of those that belief system. Anytime he's really great, he knocks way back down to the end. So what I did is I cleaned up those memories, changed the memories, updated those, and then we're on the golf course in his mind. And I said, where's the tough points in your game? Well, it's the long drive, it's the short putts, and I changed all those where the ball went where it's supposed to go. Well, he wrote me, and that was on a Friday, because Saturday was the tournament, and then Sunday was finishing it up. He wrote me and gave me a testimony. I said, I don't understand how that ball knew how to go in the hole. I'm on the last day, on the last few holes. I was 4 strokes behind, and I don't know how I won it, but I did. Now, again, it's the unconscious. See, the unconscious knows how to move muscles together to walk across the floor. Now, some people have had a stroke, head trauma. They don't know how to walk. They have to redesign, rebuild muscle memory. And just like you said earlier, the unconscious does so much all at one time, but we consciously cannot handle 3 to 5 things anymore at one time. But it does all this stuff. It knows how to drive the car while you eat your sandwich and talk on your phone and put your makeup on, and you still get to work and you don't even remember the drive because of this so powerful part of us. And knowing how to utilize this power to manifest something different is the key to longevity and personal performance, health, wealth, great relationships.
Totally
So,
agree.
yeah.
As for example, past traumas and
Uh-huh.
or like situations like sexual abuse or any other abuse, pain or health. Um,
hmm
for example, we use special solutions. I mean, it's like a script, a code, basically
hmm
a code, but it's in simple English words, saying what subconscious has to do in order to improve your health, for example, or improve in order to improve your financial situation, or in order to improve your relationship, because basically you know that we are running in the circle of certain behavioral patterns. And when we give these master solutions, we give these instructions to subconscious mind, the person can move away. Yeah, it deblocks the behavioral patterns. It deprogram. It's not reprogram. It's deprograms it. How do you do this? I mean, in your practice, how do you work with these past situations, past or negatively charged situations?
Well, again, when we have unpleasant memories and experiences, logically we know that those unpleasant memories or experiences are held on to and used to create awareness of other bad things that happen. And sometimes, like you said in the early, if it's so big you don't know what to deal with it, it's tucked away. Scientifically, it has proven that the mind is plastic. That means it's very adjustable. In the act of introducing new sensations, new feelings, new emotions into the traumatic memory, adjust the memory to where it's no longer traumatic. It's neurologically adjusted and changed. Now, I've worked with the worst possible traumas,
Hmm.
from rapes to beatings to witnessing murders,
Yeah.
death of children, etc.
Right.
And of course, I volunteered a lot over 10 years in drug rehabs. Now, drug rehabs, this is the top of the crop when it comes to traumas.
Hmm.
We have Joshua, who was in Afghanistan. He sees his friends killed in front of
Hmm.
him. He's seen children wounded, maimed, and killed in front of him. So he's in a drug rehab. And the reason he's in drug rehab is because he couldn't deal with the emotional trauma. And the only way to numb the pain was to use drugs, methamphetamines. All right. Although I arrived there, and Jeff says, "Hey, we got this guy, Joshua. He's had anxiety out there smoking. He's on the crazy edge all the time." So he comes in, and I said, "Well, what I want is you to give me the worst memories, the worst traumatic, hurtful memories." He says, "Man, I can't even talk about this. I don't know how to deal with it. It's too strong for me to handle it. I said, listen, you don't have to tell me anything about the memory. You just have to know the memory, identify the memory, know what's in the memory, and I will help you clean it up. And then less than 3 minutes later, I said, all right, let's go back to this memory. And I said, I want you to see how you feel before you go there. He says, well, it doesn't seem like it's real to me. And I said, what do you mean real to me? He said, well, a few moments ago, I could feel it happening in my body. And I said, okay, so why don't you just, and by the way, I had zero information. So I said, well, why don't you just talk about it? And when you notice any sensation in your body, negative response, we would call negative, a physical reaction, stop right there, nod your head, and I'll clean it up. I'll help you clean it up. And then, of course, we walked in the mirror and said, it's just weird. It's like it wasn't me. Even though before that, he was in a deep hypnotic trance called that memory. And when we got done, it was like it wasn't him. Now, neurologically, science has proven this. Some of the work by Daniela Sheeler, and then some of the work by False Memories with Elizabeth Lopez or Julia Shaw show how memories are a lot of our memories are false, but a lot of our memories are distorted by the internal filters in which we have. So listen, we just cleaned this one memory up. He didn't even tell me what it was. He talked about it and he said it doesn't seem real. And I said, listen, you've got a lot more memory. So I said, give me all the bad memories and all the bad experiences that you have there. And so, in 20, 30 minutes, we wrote down all these memories. All right, by the time the 2 hour was over, we walked over and says, I don't feel nothing. They don't seem real to me. And I said, okay. So then he had an appointment the next day. He comes in, he goes, I slept all night. I said, well, is that normal or is that unusual? He said, no, I get up 6 times a night because of flashbacks and things. I slept all night. And he said, I feel different about myself, except when I'm out there smoking. When I'm out there smoking, I get high anxiousness. And I said, well, this is how the brain works. You have a dog and you feed it and you whistle or you call his name, you feed it, and all of a sudden you call his name, it's right there salivating. See, sometimes you could have an experience and something can happen at the same time, and the brain will wire those together and it becomes an automatic, unconscious reaction. He goes, oh, I know what it is. I said, what is it? He goes, I'm here in Afghanistan. Is at night. Me and my buddy are leaning against the Humvee. We're smoking cigarettes, and I'm looking at the stars, and all of a sudden I see all these tracer rounds coming right at us. And of course, he jumps under the Humvee, and you hear the ping, 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 all the bullets hitting that truck, which means his brain wired together, feed the dog, ring the bell. All of a sudden, when he's smoking, his brain takes him right back to unconsciously, not even knowing consciously that he's anxious because of that experience.
Yeah, true.
So now, yeah.
And,
so now he goes out smoking and has no problems.
And when you practice with your clients or with your patients, are you going deep down into the memories and asking them about abstracts, pictures, images, insights, whatever you call it, to move away? How do you do it? Because we, for example, use our main processor. I mean, it's basically the main command for subconscious mind. It's called processor. So when someone has very charged situation, we go in deep down, see it, use processor executed, clean it up, and after that go deeper to look for the insights. How you do this? I mean, if you do this.
Well, there's not one tool. There's many ways that we do this. There's many techniques and processes. We can have somebody come in and they have 5 memories, 5 major traumatic memories, and they don't tell me what they are. And we'll have them see every one of them, know every one of them is there. We'll use a process we call the quick tap, which is basically telling the unconscious to go make all the changes. Right?
Yeah.
And then we go back, we double check. How much is left? Is it still there?
Yeah.
If it is, we do it again. And then when we're done with that, when there's no charge, then we walk through each memory adjusting and cleaning up everything that still is not good. By the time we're finished with the memory, they can't feel bad and they're left with a different memory, an updated memory, to where they have not only logical understanding, but they have a desired outcome now that their brain holds. To understand memory, memories are not designed for actual fact, it's designed for survival. So anytime you take a memory and you interject good feelings and or bad feelings, because you could take a good memory and make it bad, and you could take a bad memory and make it worse. So when we're done with a memory, the memory has been so updated that it has a desired outcome in their future. The past has been rewritten. And so if you understand memories, memories are malleable, they're very adjustable. They're designed to keep you alive and keep you safe and keep you in alignment with family, home, and experiences. So if you change memories and update memories, you don't change the past because you cannot change something that doesn't exist. We have our own internal creation of our personal version of the past. And of course, if you sit around your friends or your parents or your brothers and sisters and you're talking about an event, you got 5 different stories. And everyone believes that their story is the right original event. So they're all distorted. So memories in the mind, if you change it, you're not changing the past. You're changing what your brain, your unconscious limbic operating system will re-give to you, recycle over and over again. So we go to the traumatic story, the event that doesn't exist anymore, but when we go there, it feels real because we're in the hypnosis of the memory. And when we update the memory, we change the hypnosis of it. We change the value of it. We also change our future. So that's how it works.
Yeah. However, you see that in the memory, I think that we probably need to be more specific on terms, because from my point of view, it's impossible to change the memory. However, it is possible to clean up the memory. I mean, to eliminate the emotion from the memory, to eliminate this connection between the memory and the signal that it gives to particular glands to process a certain amount of neuromediators. So because of that, I'm not talking about, for example, reprogramming, because from my point of view, reprogramming of memory is just means that you have one memory, and close to that you are installing one memory about the same event, but the previous memory is not released. It's still charged negatively.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why having an alternative memory doesn't work. You have to update the original memory to where it's different.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to say to clean the memory, to clean emotions from the memory. Okay, my questions are finished.
Oh, was it good? So let me ask you, how exactly do you help people change things? Like what system are you using? How do you do it?
I have my own technique, and first of all, my client is reading processors. There are 4 processors: executed, Gleb, merge, and hopper. Processors is just an algorithm. It's a basic command to your subconscious mind to clean up the memory. And after that, we are choosing particular situation. For example, trauma at the age of 12 on the leg. And after that, we are going with simple questions like BSFF. And after that, for example, I have we process it like this. I have a trauma, executed, right? So we give the command to subconscious mind to execute the getting of trauma. But before trauma, it was a chain of events that lead to the trauma. So after that, we need to clean up all the chain, and most of the chains, I mean that our body is a manifestation of our mind. And if someone has deeply charged emotional situation, later on, maybe the same day, maybe the same week, it will become trauma in the body. So we need to clean up all the chain and remove all the emotional situation from this chain. My favorite issue is to deal with money, because money is, is an abstract, in fact. In nature, there is no money. You can pay cow for the milk. You need to pay farmer for the milk.
Right. Exchange something.
Right.
Eggs for milk.
Right. So, and since there is an abstract, it will be much easier to work with things like credit rating or debt, because when we eliminate emotional charge from the debt idea, from the concept of debt, people becomes free and can make much more right, much a better or more effective solutions in their financial life, in their financial position, in order to get more money. However, we are also coming back to the initial situations. For example, if your family was poor and if your father have not enough money, it means that most of your behavioral patterns will be done on his experience, on the previous experience in the childhood. Sometimes I need to work all the previous relatives, like we are starting with father, after then we are going to the grandfather, after that we are going to the grandfather, and to eliminate all the poor situations where they've been.
So also, when you say eliminate, what exactly do you do by eliminate? What does that mean exactly?
Eliminating?
Yeah.
We start with processing of, we give commands to subconscious mind. And subconscious mind will do all the work for us.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm very like approach of EFT, because it includes body, because body is never lying. But I prefer to work with the mind. Despite the fact that mind is lying, we can go deep dive into the body and find the painful episode inside the body.
So when you say
a little bit different approach, yeah,
I'm just trying to figure out exactly you're using language. So when you say go inside the body to find the approach, or go inside the mind, you're referring specifically to memory, right?
To the feelings.
Oh, so you go to the kinesthetic responses.
It's like certain frequency. For example, your fear of something, fear of running out of money, has a certain frequency. Fear of death has another frequency. Fear of losing your partner or your kid have another frequency. So when you feel this frequency in your mind, when you restore this frequency in your mind, you can look into your body, and for example, if you're talking about your partner, we will find that the fear is somewhere in the heart area, in the chest. And if we are talking about, for example, some sexual abuse, we need to go much deeper into genitals. And if we are talking about money issues, it's mostly our spine, our back.
Okay. So basically, you're saying it's all frequency.
It's like, I'm giving my client the task to feel this frequency inside the body and follow this frequency and find this frequency, the root of the frequency, the source of the frequency inside the body.
So when you say the root, that means find the memory that helped create that. Is that what you're saying?
Not exactly. I mean
Okay.
that the root is some part of the nervous system where is some part of blockage,
Okay.
disconnection.
Right. So let's say, for example, I have a client to come see me and they say, I have financial issues. I will say, how do you know you have financial issues? They say, I don't have any money in my account. I get money, but I can't keep it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, so let's do it. Let's kind of investigate your money world. When you're growing up as a child, do you have any memories about money? Oh yeah, mom and dad are fighting over money. Okay. I said, do you have any other experiences about money? Yeah. I saved my money with my paper route and my dad took it and I wanted it back and he humiliated me and spanked me because I wanted my money back. I said, okay. Any other bad money memories? He said, yeah, my first job, they cheated me out of my check. And I said, okay. Any other experiences with money that's unpleasant? I will never ask for a raise, even though I know I deserve a raise. And I said, okay. Like the guy came in, he goes, I don't understand it. I have just as much education as these other guys. I'm just as qualified, but I'm not in the upper group. As a matter of fact, my sales aren't very good. And I said, okay, let's go change these memories that represent great success at not having money. And so we go and we adjust the memories and change the memories. We don't have bad memory and good memory. We have bad memory turning into good. So now they have a positive memory. And we go to each of the memories, we change the memories. And then, of course, he's an insurance salesman. I said, okay, so any anxiety thinking about, meeting someone for insurance, to sell insurance is, oh yeah, high anxiety. So I said, well, we'll address that. They said, what's your biggest fear about it? Fear of being rejected. So we addressed the memory of being rejected. And I said, okay, so close your eyes and imagine now you have a contract for a $2 million insurance deal. Any anxiety says, oh yeah, really big. So we release the emotions in it. And they say, okay, now it's a 10 million insurance deal. Any anxiety, lower down. So now he's perfectly calm in his mind, in his memory of these things. So then he leaves. 6 months, he comes back and he goes, he booked a session with me, but he didn't book it for business because now he's in the upper group. He's the top salesman. And the guy's asking, how do you not get nervous signing these big contracts? It's just, I don't. And the reason is in my office, we clean the memories up. And by the way, memories create energy, emotions in the body called frequency. Because see, the model is memories create behaviors. Memories create emotional, physical reactions. The body is the second action. Memory is the first. So when you address the cause, like you said, the body is an honest expression of unresolved and or resolved memories and experiences. We naturally operate from those. So when we go and I address memories and change memories, update the memories to where they don't have a bad one, they only have a good one, their unconscious will recycle the new updated memory. So that's what I do. I go to the memory, change the memory, adjust the memory, embellish the memory to where they only have one. They kind of know the other happened, but they don't have any proof of it. It's just a head knowledge. But the new memory that we've updated feels real, looks real, and experiences real every time we think about it, which you would call the frequency in the body has now changed. So, I mean, that's how I do it. I just go and change memories. I mean, you could put rocks on your chakras and all that stuff, but I think without changing memory, you don't get much of a result. You can feel good for a while, and then you go back home. The memories that drive the system is still alive. That means it'll replicate it again. So one of the things we go is I have my clients when they leave the office, replay the memories that we've created. Replay. See what you want to see, feel what you want to feel, act from as if it's really true. So that's really why I say frequency. You're on the frequency. I said, okay, frequency.
I mean, frequency, for example, in your example, what was his first memory? That mom and dad have problems about money. Yeah.
Fighting over
So
money,
after that, I say close your eyes and look exactly where do you feel it in your body, and most of that is in your heart, in his heart, because there is a fear that the family will be broken, and the kid don't want to lose neither dad, neither mom. So if there is a quarrel, there is a very deep impression on the person. So when he looks into this frequency, when he restores this fear of losing his family, of losing his parents, you will see that he, at the end, he can imagine it like, for example, a rock or a stone on his heart. And when you process it, I mean, we use subconscious mind, I mean, instructions for subconscious mind to process it. Of course, it's a very big release, and after that, everything's changed. So, why do we use instructions for subconscious mind? Because there is no need to replay. So we just need to say, execute it one time. I mean, the cue word that's starting the whole process.
Oh yeah, keyword. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, your train beats that pretty fast.
You know that the difference is that we have already done algorithm for most of the situation that people have in their life. Basically, we have about 400 master solutions that eliminates most of the stuff. Most of
When you said you have algorithms for different muscle areas of the body. Is that what you're saying?
muscles also, but it's different because, for example, we have special set of solutions for health, and part of this is, of course, relaxation. So there are two basic master solutions. One is called muscle relaxation, and another one is called after Reiki. After Reiki is starting all the process of Reiki. So it not only relaxing the body, but it also fulfills the energy.
Okay.
Fulfills the body with the energy.
So basically, it introduces a relaxed feeling into the memory.
No, it gives command to muscles, to the spine, to the legs, to the eyes, to every organ on the body to relax.
I see.
To subdue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We have two different approaches. I guess the outcomes are the same.
Yeah, the question is effectiveness, because we have also we call it snapbacks, because technique is very effective, but on the other side, when this deprogramming is happening very fast, the energy is going a little bit down, and it also can become a headache, diarrhea, also common. It's
Yeah.
because a lot of things are detoxing. Basically,
Yeah. Yeah. Every,
the
yeah.
body is changing, and a lot of detoxification is coming.
Yeah. Very good. Very interesting. But it's so strange that we're having this conversation. Both of us thought we were being interviewed by the other person.
Okay, I'm finishing